Wilson Theater is actually celebrating its 100th birthday this year. It was built in 1920, and it's 2020. I don't know if they had as much fun in 1920 as we're having in 2020. The building was set to be torn down in 1999, and the citizens and a few people who had some money decided to save it. And it is really quite a remarkable story. In fact, we're just having the history written and the book is almost ready to get published. So we're really excited about that. Some really cool things about the theater. The number one cool thing about the theater is that the people did it. So it's remarkable that the community, and I'm going to say the Mini-Cassia area because there were lots of people from Cassia County that helped this happen, not just people in Minidoka County. It's estimated that $2.7 million was donated to the theater. That would be in the form of cash donations or grants or even just labor. So lots of money donated. We insure it for $5.5 million. And that's pretty impressive for a building that was slated to be torn down. If you walk this way, it's pretty interesting. There used to be a big concession stand here, and there was also a ramp instead of these stairs. And these windows that are so beautiful, they are original to the theater, and they're probably one of my favorite parts of the theater. They were made by the Amish, and the Amish cannot have any pride. So they always leave a mistake in one of the panes upstairs, and we can go up there and I'll show that to you. One of the panes upstairs is different than the other panes. And when they discovered the windows that were boarded up and covered in concession stand popcorn grease, they didn't really know what they had. And then they found this gem, and 7 panes were broken. But luckily, it wasn't this pane right here, because that's where the mistake is. And so all of the windows match. And that pane right there is evidence that the Amish really did make them, and they came from Pennsylvania. And I can't imagine in 1920 or 19 having them sent here. Like, that would be a crazy thing. The railing is solid brass, and the stairs make us ADA compliable because the ramp was far too steep. One of the really fun things in the theater is that in this space up here, this is where apartments were actually. So all of this area behind these doors there were 3 apartments, and each of the window banks denotes that. So this whole area had been closed off, and this was home to every pigeon in the Mini-Cassia area. They all lived here. And so they shoveled pigeon manure out the windows. It took them a solid 3 days at least, and it was up to their knees. They wore hazmat and they wore rubber boots and did nothing but shovel. The cool thing that happened in that process was, ta-da, our light fixture. So as one of the workers was shoveling, they shoveled right into this light fixture. It's original to the theater. You can clearly see that it's got a 1920s motif on it. So they put it away and saved it for a day that it could be put in. And what a treat, and what a perfect place for it. So that's really fun. If you walk out on the balcony, you can get a good view of the theater. And the theater is painted yellow and has little red accents, and those were the original colors. The decorated ceiling is not original. That was added when they did the renovation. The sconces were missing, but they did have pictures of the sconces, and so they were actually molded and put in for it. So this is an interesting thing too. All the plaster that you see in here was breaking and crumbling, as you can imagine. And they wrote to New York City to see if there was a company there that could do all the plaster work for them. That bid came in at $200,000, and the project did not have $200,000 to spare. So a local artist named Chris Ann Hardcastle and her buddy Earl Corliss, who was kind of the head honcho on this whole deal, they actually learned how to, they carved the new molds, they learned how to make the oh shoot, what is the name of that? The silicone molds. And all the plaster was poured here, created here, painted here, and put in place here. And it saved the project $200,000. So that's a fun project. Also, all these chairs are new. Originally, this theater had 700 wooden seats in it. The seats were 18 inches wide, and we now have 400 seats. So we got a little taller and we got a little wider, and we have 400 seats compared to the 700 that they actually started with. The theater is a marvelous work and a wonder. It has a really special spirit about it, and so it's interesting because I like to say that the building is sacred, and the reason things become sacred is because people sacrifice. And so the reason this space is so sacred is because there was so much sacrifice that went into it. The original builder of the theater, his name was Daniel Ward Wilson. He went by Ward Wilson. He had 4 children. He had a dream. This is a flat iron building. A flat iron means that it's on a triangle. He owned this property. He inherited money from his parents, came and built the building and brought something marvelous to Rupert.